All right, coming up next, we will take a look at the latest market movers with Cary Carbonaro and Dan Geltrude. You're watching Wake Up America. We'll be right back. Take a look at the latest business headlines. Right with that, we're going to bring in accounting professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude, and then as well as author, women and wealth expert, Cary Carbonaro. Good morning to you both. Let's take a quick look at those markets. So they finished the day down this morning. Futures are up ahead of the opening bell. Okay, so the latest CPI report is actually due out this morning, which brings us to the topic of China deflation, which the United States and other countries have been dealing with skyrocketing prices. China is actually facing the opposite problem. The country is struggling to revive demand both at home and overseas. Dan, I'm going to go to you first. So should we be concerned about China deflation, and what kind of sign could this be for the U.S. economy?
Well, when you talk about deflation, as you said, opposite of inflation means prices are going down, which means Chinese exports are going to become cheaper. So they are going to flood the market to the greatest extent they can with their products. Now, what is the impact going to be on the United States? Well, it could start to ease some of our inflation. So that's a good thing. However, because we import so much from China, we could have a situation where you have U.S. businesses that are still feeling the effects of inflation, having to compete. So it could become an uneven playing field. So it could be a challenge for us.
Not good. Let's talk a little Disney. So they posted their earnings after the closing bell yesterday, showing mixed results. I mean, Cary, some of the company's problems areas include the streaming services. You're talking about Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN. I mean, so what does Disney have in the works to try to fix all of this?
Yeah, so Iger has a big task in front of him. The streaming services were down. They lost only $512 million for the quarter. And they've lost a lot of subscribers. And so what they're trying to do, they're taking a page from Netflix's book, and they're going to raise prices amongst all the streaming services. And they're also going to crack down on the passcodes like Netflix did. Then they're also, as you know, going to sell a piece of ESPN and also go into online gambling, which is super interesting, which was announced this week. And then the parks themselves are incredibly down. I'm a season pass holder in Orlando, and the parks are really not crowded. And they say that that is a sign of a potential recession. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, my goodness. We don't like that all these streaming services are raising prices, but I guess I don't blame them. With many people still working from home, it's kind of no surprise that the company WeWork is almost close to bankruptcy. I mean, Dan, they've lost $700 million just in the first 6 months of this year. I mean, where does the company stand at this moment?
Yeah, and put on top of that, Alex, they lost $2.3 billion last year. So what we're seeing here is We doesn't work. They are in the industry of rental office space, rental on time, meaning that if you need an office space tomorrow, you can get it. But with everyone working at home, we already know that this is not a great place to be doing business. So at one time, they were valued at approximately $40 billion. Today, their market cap is below $500 million. So could they go bankrupt? It is absolutely possible.
Yeah, I mean, literally, their entire company is based around people going and working in their spaces. I mean, Cary, do you agree with Dan? Do you see anything improving down the road? I mean, kind of ironically, Zoom is one of the companies that is calling workers back to the office.
Yeah, this is so funny. So this is exactly dovetailing off right of what Dan said. So if Zoom, the company that made online working from home, is calling people back to the office, we definitely have a shift going on here. So they promised their employees that they were never going to have to come in live in person. And now they're going back on their promise and saying, you have to come back into the office at least 2 days a week if you live 50 miles away. And, this stock was a darling during COVID and is now down between 85 and 90% from its, 2020 highs. And so it's really interesting. But my experience is, I'm obviously not a millennial, and millennials don't like to come into work, or that's a broad statement. But that's how you get promotions and FaceTime, and it's actually quite good to connect with your colleagues in person. So I'm a fan of coming back.
Absolutely. Me too. Something that's obviously been big this summer, it's kind of the summer of women a little bit. You've got the Barbie movie, which topped $1 billion. You've got Beyonce, Taylor Swift having those massive concert tours. I mean, their pocketbooks have just really been coming out in full force. People are saying that these women saved the economy. I mean, Cary, what do you make of this, the summer of women?
So actually, the summer of girl power. And what's super interesting is that by the year 2030, women will control 2/3 of the nation's wealth. Currently, we're at 33% of the nation's wealth, which means in 7 years, it's going to double, which means you ain't seen nothing yet. Women are going to really be changing the economy in the future in a huge way. And I'm super excited about that. But companies have to really adapt and change and give women what they want and not just pink wash it or put a pink bow on it. They have to do authentic, they have to be empowering, and the future is female, and I can't wait.
Definitely. 10 seconds left. Dan, your quick thoughts on this?
It makes me think I may have to change how I identify here. So all this girl power, I don't want to be left out, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get in on this.
Dan Geltrude, way to end a segment. Cary Carbonaro, thank you both for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure. All right, up next.